Of course. And I think it's offered as dual enrollment now too, so you don't even have to take the test.
And then which one do you want?
Yeah.
The YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna mute YouTube.
Do you have your screen shared?
Not yet.
But you're going to.
Mhm.
Okay.
Did anyone tell you they weren't attending?
No, it's not gonna be enough for everyone.
Okay. My computer's going back. Well, the good news is 3 of you were here, so that's good. Because
And Donna
Jennifer
and
Jack is online.
And so is Donna.
And so is Donna.
Oh,
So it's great.
So we're
So
good.
4.
Yeah, that's enough. So who's online, anybody?
Yep.
Just-
Jennifer, Jack Carey, and Donna Schuster.
Oh,
Okay.
here we
So we're
go.
gonna say Michael
Hello,
Jackson.
everyone. Well, we're
Hi.
getting all set up here. Just give us 1 second.
Okay, sure, no worries.
This should open like this. If it,
Does it open?
Yep.
Yeah, we could almost set up on the table. Usually hold that.
is that-
over.
I can't see what's pointing at, but
Yeah, Andrew.
that one. Okay. Is that gonna work? There.
Does that look okay?
Yeah.
Want me to point it more towards anything?
Right, yeah. Like, yeah.
Can we get get it to see Donna?
Maybe we can just table.
Here you
They shoot me to the other room.
I
Oh,
just started.
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, no, we're never be in there.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. And they hear about it.
Oh, it's weird being at the front of the table.
Jennifer, you can hear us, yes?
I can, yep.
Okay, good.
Okay, so we should call the meeting to order at 4:35. This time, we'd like to, you guys jump in anytime you think I'm on track here, right? Correct. Approval of the minutes,
Make a motion.
got it? Yep. So we have a motion, to accept it?
Yep.
Do we need a second one? Not as big as all. Okay, so we're good to, minutes have been accepted. Everyone, yes, online?
I'll abstain since I wasn't there.
Gotcha.
That's fine.
You want to say abstain as well,
We
Mr.
want to do the forum then?
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm abstaining as well because I wasn't there either.
Okay, no problem, thank you.
Thank you.
The next thing
Thank
is public comment.
Do we have anyone for public comment?
We could proceed. So now, item number 4, discussion and possible action on course additions.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So before we begin, I'd like to introduce 3 individuals that are here with me. And because this is our first meeting with some of our new board members, I wanted to introduce these 3 who play a key leadership role in the curriculum development process here. Mrs. Andrea Drury, Mrs. Vicki Hulse, and Mrs. Marissa Null. And they oversee and guide the work of Curriculum Council, and they really help lead the curriculum development revision process and writing throughout the district. So they'll be here pretty much every meeting with us. Thank you, ladies, on their own time. And do you want to just introduce and tell a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Andrea Drury, I'm the district instructional coach. And my job in the district is to work in all 3 buildings, the 2 middle schools and the high school, working with all things curriculum, teacher capacity, the POG, MTSS, which is our support system in the district. And I'm probably forgetting other things, but we work really closely with the teachers and the students just to improve the overall instruction in the district. This is my 35th year teaching and my 10th year at Amity.
I had a question. Do you oversee, who oversees the instructional coaches?
Dr. Carlson.
Okay.
My name is Vicki Hulse. I am one of the librarians here at the high school. I'm getting ready for our very exciting remodel this summer. What is my job? I do a lot of different things in the school, but I get to co-teach with a lot of different classes and subject matters here. I was previously an English teacher of 7th and 8th grade, and then I've been here for 8 years now, 9 maybe. This is my 22nd year teaching. Curriculum is my passion. It's what I love to do. It's what I feel passionate about, making sure that the kids are getting the right things. So when this position and this committee was created a few years ago, I wanted to take kind of a leadership role in that. It's also my job to make sure all juniors get through Portrait of the Graduate. So it's nice because they do link together, so I can see and make sure everything links up. So that's me.
I'm Marissa. I teach 7th grade social studies at the middle school in Bethany. This is my 16th year, I think, in the district. And I'm here in my capacity as the curriculum co-chair with Vicki. But, you know, the curriculum process has been really kind of reinvigorating over the last few years to really become highly involved. It's something I'm really passionate about as well. I have had the benefit of being on both sides of now the writing, the feedback, and the overseeing of the curriculum. So that's pretty cool. And it's been a great experience. And then I also the three of us sort of seem to have our hands in a lot of different things. So I also am helping out with the Portrait of the Graduate for this year at the middle school.
All right, thank you so much. All right, and so today what we'd like to do is there are 2 new courses we're going to be proposing to bring to Amity and to provide to our students. And then we thought after Jess presents, we're going to move on to a curriculum overview. We thought it would be a great way to ground our shared understanding around what is curriculum, what is the process for writing curriculum. And this way, once curriculum is brought to you, you'll feel confident and really comfortable in moving it forward and recommending it to the full board. So I'm going to introduce now our visual performing arts. I know it's a long title. It's getting longer. Jess Zamaha, and she's going to present on the 2 new courses. Thank you for being here, Jess.
Thank you. So we have, the Unified Arts class is a thing that I've been working on for years to try to figure out. It kind of parallels the Unified PE class, the Unified Science class that we have, where atypical peers can be in a same class, but typical peers, where they're the typical peers are mentors to them, and they help them and almost like guide them through all the projects. Those typical peers will also plan lessons and activities for the kids because they get to know the atypical peers very well. They know what their strengths are, what they really like, so they'll be able to gear projects around what their motor function is and different things. So the half-year course, and for both sides. Normally, the Unified is a full-year course for the atypical peers, and then half-year for everybody else. This is all half years because that's how our courses run. The trick with this one is it will be offered in any area of visual performing arts. So it's based on teacher and what teacher is going to be, needs a class or has a pre-opening in their schedule. So 1 year it could be theater, 1 semester it could be theater, the next semester it could be music, then it could be visual arts another year, and then if it's visual arts again, it might be in a different teacher, so they might do all different things. So it's a really interesting experience in that sense. I think it's going to be great. I think this helps us because a lot of times with the atypical peers in regular classes, I have them right now in ceramics too, which is it's hard to teach them in that class with other students who are teaching at a different level. So this will give a very great opportunity for those students to really get that social interaction and the hand and motor skills and all of that that happens. Any questions? Yes.
I got a couple on it just because I used to work at a school and help with the special needs. And I don't know if you can answer this, do we have a large special needs population? I mean, like doing like the elected officials walk through, not seeing a lot.
We saw the science, remember we were up in there. Yeah.
I think they were saying there's about 9 or or 10 atypical students in the class.
We have one program in the middle school Orange, our sales program, and another program at the high school on our sales program. And then the number of students in that program varies depending on the needs.
So it's like 10, 20, it's not like 30, 40,
Right.
60. And so the non-atypical, they're volunteering to be connected? They're signing up, okay, that's, yeah, that's, okay.
So they want to.
So it's not like you're assigning like, hey, Christian gets to take care of me, which would be torture, but.
They choose it as an elective.
They choose it as an elective.
They're an elective.
And
Okay,
then we actually just had a PD where we talked to the people who are running those unified classes right now, and they said they rotate those mentors throughout the semester, so they don't want to stay with the same kid all the time. And they have all the paras in the room, and everybody's there, so if there is ever a situation that we have.
and there's a criteria for those partners that are interacting, like you have to have some kind of a training, some kind of, and that they can go, like in your ceramics class, they're over here working that one-on-one, so you can now work with the other 15 in the class a little more.
Well, this would just be for them. So this class won't have, there's the 15, right, typical students in one. This will be.
It's a separate class section.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you were doing it like, hey,
Yeah.
Christian takes care of me in the corner while you're over here with the rest.
So this class is all just a mentorship, it's really for typical students and mentor.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, it seems very cool. From what I understand, their main teacher comes in and does, and sometimes the speech and language and the OT will come in and talk to the students, the typical students, without the atypical students, to say, here's what is going on. Here's some help in situations. If you ever see some of this, so they kind of give them some training to help them see, like, what's going on, what they might hear, what they might encounter.
What happens if you don't get enough typical kids that sign
They'll
up?
run the class just as an adapted class.
Okay.
Is the one-on-one instructor, the para still follows the student, right?
They,
So-
yeah.
If they have a one.
Whatever
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
ratio is.
This is
Yeah,
like,
Thursdays
yeah.
follow the
They try to put as many, well, if they're all in there, they're all in, right? The whole staff can come to you, which is very nice. So sometimes in other classes, we don't have enough paras to go on, so we'll end up without that sometimes. Or every other day, or for a few minutes, or kids just won't come to our class that day because they don't have a para. So this will hopefully solve all that.
So who signs up for a class like this? In other words,
Any 9th through 12th grade student who wants to
they
have
can just
this experience.
decide that they want to have that experience or whatever.
I've had a lot of students, it's really interesting when you have them, because they end up going into special ed as
Career.
Career. Yeah, it's very interesting to see, like, I know a few students this year who are in those unified classes and they're actually gearing towards special education. Because they love.
Wonderful.
And we also
Yeah.
have an after-school club, so there are a lot of students that are interested in working with students in our sales program. So that starts at the middle school, the after-school program, and then that'll continue here. And so a lot of those students want to sign up as their elective. And we have unified PE.
It's a popular
it's a
class
popular
now.
class.
I do think that they've had to limit it somewhat
Yes.
because they've had so many kids try to take it and they're like, we don't need that many of you to take it. And then sometimes like the gym teacher will kind of not interview, but like talk to kids and be like, who really wants this class? Because maybe they're pursuing something in special education, or they do a lot of work with like Special Olympics sometimes. So they
That's
have
a
like,
good
or they're a
fit.
best buddy.
Good fit,
Yeah, they look for the best fit for those kids. So,
Teacher wise, who would be teaching something like this?
This would rotate between anybody in the department. So we're all getting, we're all working on the curriculum. We're all kind of getting, figuring it out together. How it would go, because one year it could be unified theater for one semester, because my theater teacher has an open period because we couldn't run a class, right? So then the next semester it's,
So it would be a teacher that has an opening that you would,
but I need to fill in a sense. Or if the teacher really wants it,
Yeah,
we
or
can
there's
make
an
that
interest.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, like, it'd be really hard for my ceramics teacher because of classes are full. Like, we have so many kids who want ceramics, so that's gonna be a hard one to run, but it could be in a different teacher. Okay.
I'm just curious if you guys can hear me. Are there enough special needs children who would be interested in multiple different types of art classes? How will you kind of determine, art, if it's theater, are there enough kids who are interested in theater? Or if it's, a visual art, are there enough kids, interested in the art itself?
Yeah, I think based on our experience currently without having this, we know we have the students who are interested in these classes, and they're currently taking classes just all separately. And where this class can be geared more appropriately for them and to have that mentorship opportunity with other students in it, will just set them up for more success. Because right now it's a lot to work with them in a regular class setting. And this will give them more specialized assistance and that social stuff will also really be beneficial. They really love the PE course. Like if you ever are having a bad day, you go to PE, unified PE, to make your day better, because it's just fun. The kids are so positive with each other, the whole group. Like it's like a family when you go in. So I think unified art is a great thing.
Sounds like it's using available time also. So teacher has that time, and so you're filling available time, not taking away from one thing to create another. Also.
Thank you. And public speaking.
Oh, no. Let's
You
switch
again.
gears completely. This is not for atypical students. They're both for me.
Well, maybe they are atypical students.
They are atypical.
Mm-hmm.
Public speaking, it's a hole that we have in this school. As far as a class, we have a communications class, but it doesn't focus on that public speaking section completely. So this was, right now I'm thinking the theater teacher would be teaching this one, because he is now training other students. He just went up to science research and taught them all how to speak, and present their research topics and different things. He'll go and he'll work with the graduation speakers right now to get them ready to speak at graduation. So he is the person for this role. This is right now rolling out 11th and 12th grade only, because we want to be careful of our hit on the 10th grade electives. With some structured changes late in the last 5 years, we've seen a little dip in the 10th grade. We want to not put one more thing in there. But I think this would be really good for them to learn how to do what we all have to do very well. I did have a question in the council meeting. I'm confused on which name is which.
Curriculum council, yes.
Council committee. What happens when you get students who have a 504 or an IP with, they can't do public, they don't want to speak in public.
It's an accommodation in their plan that says they don't have to do presentations in front of the class or something like that.
I have to figure that out. But I mean, we were also saying it is a public speaking class, so your counselor should be working with you to say, all right, you have this in your IP. Are you sure this class is a public speaking class? The expectation is that you try to speak in public. Obviously, we're not going to put them in front of the 400 people at the Brady Center, but maybe they just speak to 5 people instead, if that's their comfort zone. We make accommodations in the arts all the time, so I'm not really worried about that being a problem. But I think it'd be a really cool class.
And I can say this class, I'm hoping a lot of 11th graders take it,
Right.
because a portrait of the graduate, one of the things we knew last year when we ran presentations for the first time is, these kids don't know how to do public speaking, and that's something they struggle with. And how can we teach them explicitly? Those who struggle with it, forget my theater kids who it comes, naturally to them, and they're like, I will do a show for you. For the kids who really struggle to get up in front of people, that we can build those skills, and then they're going to be using them in 11th grade when they do their presentations for Portrait of the Graduate. The teacher who plans to teach this is going to be doing like a mini lesson with the juniors before they do their Portrait of the Graduate this year, to be like, here are some tips and tricks to kind of help you get through this, because all 356 juniors have to do that.
I'm a little surprised that it's not already embedded in the curriculum somewhere, but it's.
So oral presentations are embedded, but the teaching of public speaking skills is so unique into today's climate, and like, what does a good presentation look like and sound like? We have some teachers who have embedded like TED Talks into the curriculum, and I know that's coming up senior elective year. But when there's so much in the curriculum with reading literature, like the class it seems like it naturally goes in is English, but when there's reading literature, reading nonfiction, writing, speaking and listening, and the grammar piece, something always gets a little bit on the short end, and it tends to be the speaking and listening. And the
Yeah.
way we truthfully assess that in English class is through class discussions more and
Which is
seminars, which is
know?
very different than
Yeah.
I am up here by myself
Right.
doing a
And
presentation.
not every kid in English is going to stand up.
Correct.
Right,
This is
exactly.
very geared towards those kids that are looking to build the skill.
Right. So it is embedded. It's just that this is going to be very much tailored for.
Well, maybe that little piece that's embedded already can really feed into this more.
Possibly,
Oh,
yes.
absolutely.
The presentation skills are embedded, but not necessarily the act of public speaking.
Delivery,
Yeah.
pacing, tone, how to use ethos, pathos, logos in presentations to keep them engaged. Like those are the things that I think public speaking will expand
Is
upon.
this a half year or?
Is a half year course. Most of our courses in visual performance are half years so that they can fit off other
lessons.
things that are required. Makes it easier and make a schedule.
Do they have any questions?
Any other questions online?
Guys, any questions online? Nope.
No.
So does anyone want to make a recommendation to move this to the full board? We wouldn't be able to do it tonight. It's not on the agenda, but we can put it on the full board agenda for next month.
I think we can do that. Okay. I would recommend it.
I'll recommend it.
So do you want to go with Donna as the big motion?
Sure.
to-
Thank you.
Okay.
Going to excuse us.
Thank you
Yes,
very
thank you,
much.
Jess.
Thank you so much for staying. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Okay, so, Donna, I think you might have heard part of this presentation previously. But for our new board members, we wanted to just kind of share a quick overview of what curriculum is, how we use curriculum here, and what the process of writing and approving curriculum is here at Amity. So when we're talking about curriculum, we're talking about a blueprint for learning that's connected to the standards, which are often state or national standards. Takes the content from each department and shapes it into a plan of how to conduct effective teaching and learning. And it is not a list of topics or the course to sort of be run. It is more than that. It includes the learning activities as well as the essential questions that students are going to grapple with throughout the course. We have the universal, understanding by design model that we use here at Amity. And that essentially means that we plan our curriculum backwards. We start with the end in mind. So looking at 3-stage design process, the results, the evidence of those results, and then the learning plan to get to those results. One of the biggest goals of the curriculum of each course is we look at understanding. And understanding to us means a successful transfer of knowledge. So they can take what they've learned and not just apply it to the situation specific that's brought up in the class, but to other situations as well. Do we want to click on this?
I don't, just to know that
Okay.
we use the state of Connecticut standards for our things, and we also use the curriculum that they have on at the state level to kind of help guide any of the work that we do, making sure we're matching those expectations as well.
With the exception of dual enrollment classes, we follow the university's recommended syllabus and plan.
So the components of the curriculum that we directly provide professional development to our writers before they begin writing are these kind of components. And each one of these would be reflected in our unit plans for each unit and each course. So we have the established goals, which are the content and objectives. We have, again, those enduring understandings, so the content of and work that are desired. What big ideas enable the connections, and as I said, that transfer of knowledge. And then we also look at what students might misunderstand, because if you, the way we explain it to our teachers is that A misunderstanding is not that they are wrong. It is that they have unsuccessfully transferred the knowledge. So they have to have some knowledge to have a misunderstanding. We have essential questions that guide our learning, and these are big, in-depth, kind of grappleable questions, thought-provoking questions that they might grapple with over the course of a unit or even a whole course. And then we have the knows, that's kind of knowledge, and the skills, we call them the do's. So together, those are referred to as the KUDs, knows, understands, and do's.
We're giving a quiz at the end.
Yes, yes, yes.
Acronyms.
Anytime we can give acronyms, we're like all about it.
This next slide is just an example. We've pulled out some things from the English grade 11 unit specifically about narrative writing. In 11th grade, the narrative writing unit is having them work on their college essay. So these are the standards. These literally come from Common Core. So these are the standards that the English teachers, when they're teaching this unit, are making sure they hit so that the students can meet these standards by the time that unit is done. So this literally comes directly from the Common Core. The next slide is going to give you a little bit of snippet of the big ideas and enduring understanding. So some of the things that they'll learn in this unit: narrative techniques such as using dialogue, pacing, description, reflection, which is pretty big in the college essay, multiple plot lines and characters being themselves in the college essay, how to hook a reader, really important in college essay, because let's be honest, those college admissions officers are not reading every word of every college essay. So really hooking the reader to begin with is really important. How to paint a picture in words is increasingly important. 650 words feels like a lot, and then they write it and they go, that's all it is. And we're like, you have to be concise and to the point. Move it. You don't have 5 pages to go on about yourselves, although you probably could. So showing them organization with that. We really push reflection, which is something we push through Portrait of the Graduate anyway. So it's something we hope that by junior year, they're feeling more comfortable with and can kind of reflect on why is this the topic they're choosing for this college essay and what do they want their readers to get out of it. Remember, the college essay still is all about you telling them who you are beyond what your resume and your letters of recommendation tell you. A lot about writing, that it's a process, how to tell stories. I won't read the rest of them to you, but these are the big ideas and enduring understandings, and that we want students to know that beyond the college essay, this is all good techniques for telling stories. And we communicate through stories, whether written or verbally. These components don't really change. So it's making sure students really understand that. Right now, it feels like you're writing the college essay to write the college essay, but these skills are actually used and applicable throughout life too. And then the last little thing is, here's the essential questions. So in 11th grade, it's a unique English course in the sense that they use the same essential questions all year long throughout all of their books, but they do tie these into the learning throughout all of the units. So here they are. What is the nature of truth? Are human beings inherently good or evil? What governs a person's actions? And what is the nature of power? So throughout the literature and the college essay, everything they do junior year is kind of foundational in these essential questions as well. And then you can see the do's are here. Do's all start with verbs, you'll notice: determine the central theme, analyze the narrative techniques. So they do peer editing with this as well, but these are all the things that students would do to accomplish that narrative unit. So just some small things there for you to see in practice what these pieces look like.
Okay, when we talk about backward design, we talked about, we use the UBD format for that. And what that really means is we start at the very end. For us, that's the Portrait of the Graduate. What are we looking for students to be able to do by the time they finish the courses that they have here at Amity? We look at that and what do students need? And then we look at a particular course across, grades 7 through 11. What are the things that students need? And then we work backwards from there. So every time that we are writing curriculum, we're looking at that endpoint and then working backwards. And once we're writing for a particular course, we look at what we want students to know by the end of that course. What are the units that are going to get us there? And at every point along the way, we're just kind of working backwards to make sure that we know where we're ending, and it brings us back to that beginning point. So that for us is knowing that clear destination of what we want students to be able to do. by the time that they finish.
I have a question. So, once you decide where you want a student to end up, whatever arena that is, like writing or, reading, whatever that is, then you start backpedaling and designing like what has to happen in the end of 12th grade, the middle of 12th grade, and you go backwards, correct? Right? Where does the materials come in? Is that where you decide, well, in order to get this, we have to look for materials to support this?
We actually are starting with what we want students to know, understand, and be able to do.
Right.
What the materials are, or what we're actually going to teach
The tools for getting there
is the last step in that process. So when we talk about UBD has like a 3-part sections to it, and that last section is the learning activities, and that's what it's really hard for teachers when we go to write curriculum to say, we know you want to jump to like, what are your lesson plans going to be?
The day-to-day.
Right? What the day-to-day things are, but we really need to focus on what do we want students to be able to do by the end of this unit. And we work backwards with them.
So
and then we
get
talk
to
about
the learning activities, which is, based on where you want them to go. That's where you decide on what materials and tools are going to support you.
Yeah. And then meeting, we try to really make sure that all of the teachers of that course. So English 11, when we wrote that curriculum, all the English teachers that teach 11 were sitting around the table. And we came up with what were the required activities, what were the suggested activities, what were the required tests, etc.
And how do you go about deciding on, like, how do you, like, if you need new textbooks or you need new software to support it, where does that exactly come in?
Yeah, it's all part of this process that we're, when we talk to you about Curriculum Council and the process that we're going through, kind of everything feeds through Dr. Carlson's office ultimately, but we have a lot of structures and systems now in place to say, like we have a 5-year textbook forecast. So if we're thinking that we're going to be rewriting a certain curriculum a few years down the line, that's in the textbook forecast that might be something that comes up. There are things like if it's just a few copies of a book, then we can work that into our budget for year-to-year things, but something really big.
And who has input in those decisions for materials? Like, is that something that teachers start generating?
Teachers,
So
department chairs.
I can tell you from social studies, we got new state standards that were finally approved in, I think it was 2023, 2024 maybe, that they were approved. And what we did is they were quite different standards than what we had previously had. So we came up with kind of a scope and sequence of what we would be addressing over the year. And then we found 3 textbook options that would all fit that curriculum. And we piloted them among students. And then at the end of, I think we did half a year pilot, we surveyed the students, we surveyed the parents, we surveyed the teachers themselves. And we picked, we gave input. And then from there, of course, there was a budget process and things like that. Yeah.
And then just to add on to what Mrs. Drury said, before curriculum even comes to this committee, there is so much legwork behind the scenes that you guys don't see. As Ms. Drury said, there's a very clear protocol and process in place that teachers go through first. It starts with them and then their department head, then their building administrator, and then it comes to me, and then we bring it to, we discuss it, and then we bring it to Curriculum Council, and then it comes to you. So it's very intentional, it's very thoughtful, and it's a really lengthy process because we want to get it right. And it's expensive too, right? Like, there's budgetary.
That's the other piece to it, because if you don't get the materials that support it, then next thing you know, you're going out the door and buying new materials.
Right.
Thank you.
And
yeah, you can move to the next slide.
Our favorite
So
slide.
in general, this is one of our favorite slides because we, just so you know, every teacher who writes curriculum in our district, and Vicky's going to talk a little bit about Curriculum Council in a minute, but we have trained every teacher, the 3 of us, who's currently writing or has written curriculum in the last few years. We do a training and we talk to them about the whole process. We make sure that they're very supported on those initial days. We provide support as they're writing. But this is one of the things that we tell our teachers when they first come is that when you look at written curriculum, and you'll see a lot of it over the next few years, and Donna can kind of speak to that. It's very linear and it looks wonderful on paper. But the actual writing of curriculum is an incredibly messy process. And there is a lot of discussion, there's a lot of consensus building, there is a lot of revision, there is a lot of feedback and a lot more revision. And just like students who want to like hand in the paper and be like, okay, I'm ready to be graded. We have to tell teachers from the beginning, like, this is not a one and done situation. You're going to write, you're going to get feedback, you're going to go back and revise, you're going to write some more, you're going to get more feedback. And it's a very cyclical process where we are working to make sure that ultimately that the written curriculum looks great. But it's also something that everybody has consensus around as being the top curriculum as well. We want to make sure that those two things are very much in line.
Okay, so just so you know what the Curriculum Council is, so it's the group that Andrea helps Marissa and I facilitate, because there are some things behind the scenes as an instructional coach that she knows. So really the three of us work and collaborate along. We lead the curriculum work at Amity. It's not just though the three of us. There are 18 people total on Curriculum Council. We are represented by all three buildings. So we have middle school teachers from AMSO, from AMSB, and the high school. All different content areas too are represented, so that our goal is to make these teachers on the Curriculum Council the leaders for curriculum for the district. So all of them have been initially trained in UBD principles. We've done feedback methodologies with them. We've had some support from ACES as an educational specialist who works with us and gives us training so that we can train the trainers and the trainers can train, so that it's really becoming more of an in-house system for us. It is ultimately our goal to make sure that the Curriculum Council process is making sure that the curriculum itself is rigorous, inclusive, equitable, that there are true shared experiences, that everybody feels like their voices have been heard, and that everything aligns with POG and Portrait of the Graduate, so we're not feeling like these are very separate things. They shouldn't. And that's why this process does take a while when a group starts writing curriculum from beginning to end, because it goes through so many rounds of feedback, and the Curriculum Council people are the people giving the feedback. That's their primary responsibility. They are reviewing the drafted curricula. So after teachers will write for usually between 2 and 3 sessions, they'll say, I'm ready for feedback. And they will reach out to Curriculum Council. We'll know that. And then we can say to our feedback teams, we have our Curriculum Council divided up into teams. They will review the curricula together and give written feedback. We do all this in Google Drive. So the way students often get feedback, we give teachers the feedback too. It seems to be the friendliest platform for us to do that. We answered clarifying questions. So again, being the leaders in the district, we know so many people are writing curriculum that if they have any questions, generally there's somebody in their own department they can go and ask, so that they don't have to just look for Andrea, myself, or Marissa, although they do that as well, so they know that. And that, the goal is that currently we have 195 staff trained in the UBD curriculum writing process. And all of those people are people who have either written curriculum and are done, or are now in the process. That still leaves us some more people to go, but as more people begin to write, as certain groups begin to finish, and we start coming in with the next group's writing, those people will receive the training. We did a training in November. Yeah, in the fall. We'll do one in the spring as well for the people who are definitely going to write this summer, and anything they need. They know the Curriculum Council can support them with that.
So I have 2 questions. One is, how often does the 18 people, I think you said, how often do they meet as a group?
Once a month as a group in person.
And in middle schools as well?
Yes, they come here,
Here.
2:45 here.
After
We meet
school,
here
so.
after school. We're here till 4:30. The meetings can look different month to month. Sometimes we are just giving feedback at this meeting because we've got a lot of that stuff to do. That was what happened last month. Sometimes we're providing professional learning for the Curriculum Council members, or in consultation. We did some work on POG and Portrait of the Graduate to make things a little bit more sensible for staff and students.
Yes.
So it really just depends on things.
Coming in and presenting
new courses
to us first before coming to you.
So we try to build in professional learning to grow the capacity of our curriculum council to be instructional leaders. And so they can give even more robust feedback when they're reviewing curriculum. So together we sit down and plan it, and it looks different every single month. And then in addition to that, they are giving feedback
On the
to
side
their
as well.
colleagues who are writing as well.
So this is another question maybe, but how many teachers are in your district? Roughly.
253, I want to say.
250. So you've got like, you know, a good portion of
Yeah.
teachers involved
Yeah.
with this.
At this point,
Yeah.
yes.
So that's pretty cool. The next thing is those other teachers that aren't involved with this, how does it get in, you know, how do you approach them in terms of new curriculum and so forth?
They will be trained as they're in a few minutes.
You'll
we'll
see a
talk-
cycle.
You'll see
Yeah.
the cycle. Eventually, we'll have everyone in the district trained as their curriculum comes up. And what we're trying to do right now is making sure that if you're teaching that course, you're sitting around the table working on curriculum for that course, so that we have the buy-in. So it's not Vicki and I write curriculum and then we come back to the rest of the people in our department and say, here's the curriculum we wrote and now you're going to have to teach it. We want to make sure that the everyone who has to be involved in teaching that curriculum is involved in writing that curriculum.
I think too, in looking at this group of teachers, what makes curriculum council so meaningful is at its core, it's teachers. It's teachers giving teachers feedback. That's not an easy thing to do.
No.
It's really hard work.
Yeah.
And so it's colleagues collaborating, colleagues reviewing, giving each other feedback. And I think it really speaks to the culture here that they've cultivated around a culture of professionalism and mutual respect. And you have some really difficult conversations, I think, and feedback to your colleagues. It's really commendable. I'm coming from a district where that didn't happen. You know, it was kind of, here's your curriculum. And so this is really, really commendable work that they're doing. And it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And as Ms. Drury said earlier, there's a lot of consensus building. You said that so nicely, by the way. There's a lot of debating, as you can imagine, because teachers are very passionate about their craft. And so it's really commendable, just the work they lead in this council, the work that they lead.
And I think our goal ultimately is to build the capacity within the district. We didn't, we've worked with outside consultants over the last few years to build our capacity. But as time goes by, we feel more empowered to do this work for the people in the district and for our students. So that is an ultimate goal, that this council kind of supports the work of curriculum in the district.
Is this collaboration that you're having with the middle schools is hopefully that is helping with streamlining the alignment through the subject areas coming up from the elementary schools at all? And is it able to, I know it's a different ballgame we're talking about here, but yeah.
So part of the work that Dr. Carlson has been leading as well is this, we do articulation with our department chair at the high school and the content leaders at the middle school in-house, but then also across BOA. So we have meetings, and we have some coming up really soon with almost every department with the elementary. So if we meet with math, we meet with representatives from every district, elementary school, as well as teachers in our district and leaders of that department. And we sit and talk about what that vertical alignment looks like and making sure that we're taking what we're receiving and then building our curriculum.
I would say that would be a really strong target.
Yes.
Getting that elementary, 5th and 6th grade, coming through middle school. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the vertical articulation, I think just in the systemic kind of thinking and seeing that through line of the curriculum only makes our curriculum even better. So absolutely. So last year it was 2 times, this year is 3 times. We hope next year 4 times a year. But yeah, teachers coming in together around the table and really just talking shop, just looking at each other's curriculum, looking at pacing guides, looking at scope and sequence. And I know in ELA, I'm just thinking to our last meeting, the 7th grade teacher started sharing that a book that the 6th grade was doing is one of our core texts, and they didn't know it. And so it was, oh my God, no problem. We'll pull that right out, just right there, right on the spot, just very collaborative.
Like you said, you start here where you want to end up and you keep going back
Exactly.
and building that. So
Yes.
we're just looking further back. Any questions from anybody else?
Yeah, I was curious how you integrate the curriculum writing with whatever technology or AI tools that are available for the teachers to use.
I can talk about the AI tools because it's been interesting. When we first started curriculum writing a few years ago, the English teachers are pretty angry about this because AI was not a thing. And today it's a thing. So we are having the teachers and we are setting some kind of things that they need to consider the existence of AI. And if it is not a durable task anymore, in other words, something that AI could easily do for students, then we need to challenge ourselves to up the rigor and change that assignment. Now, here's what's really nice. They can use AI to their advantage in that case. You can feed AI your assignment that you've loved giving for years and everybody agrees on and say, I acknowledge this is not a durable assignment. How can I make this a more durable assignment moving forward with the existence of AI? And AI will coach and be a thought partner and help the teachers refine those performance tasks to make them more robust, more rigorous, and AI resistant. So we've had a lot of teachers experimenting with that. We just went to a professional development on Friday, literally about AI and how to use it to leverage your curriculum writing. So we are starting to see that the AI is being embedded in curriculum as teachers are using it and playing with it to enhance their lessons, to really increase that rigor. What else?
As far as the technology,
it's embedded
we're
anyways.
embedding that as we write and offering, we just have such great supports in the district to be able to look at different programs, look at how that might be helpful to what we're doing with students on any particular kind of unit. So we are looking really closely at AI as a benefit to the students in particular areas, in particular courses, in particular units, but also making sure at our conference on Friday basically was saying that, if AI is interfering with the curriculum, you need to look at the curriculum.
The curriculum is the problem, not the AI. It was kind of the big takeaway. I took a picture of the slide. And it was like, if kids are using AI to do the assignments, the problem isn't AI, the problem is the curriculum. And I was like, oh, fascinating. And I think people think, is the essay dead? We've had the English teachers, have a huge philosophical about that. And we're like, no, but we need to change some things and kind of adapt things so that we are responding to the changes in the world right now. So we've begun doing that. I think also like with technology and AI, you don't use it just to use it. There needs to be a purpose behind using that tech tool or that AI tool. Let's establish that. Let's make it clear. Don't just use AI because it's cool. Because first of all, our kids don't like if they feel somebody's using AI, not with a clear purpose, they'll call the teachers out on it, which I personally love because I'm on the AI council and I'm like, well, they told you. Or I think that, we want our kids to question, why are we using AI for this assignment? Is there a valid purpose or is there really not? And let's have that discussion because we're all kind of navigating this new stuff together and figuring it out.
And part of us as teachers using it, not so much as the curriculum writers, but in the classroom, is to also teach the students the skills of how to navigate AI in an ethical, responsible way. So when we use it, we try to demonstrate the use as a thought partner versus a do my work for me.
In the interest of time, right? I'm just going to show you really quickly. This is our Amity curriculum writing template. So we have developed a template that all of our departments use when they're writing curriculum. So we have a common format. We've had to make little changes based on departments of like world language has certain standards and science has some things, but overall this template will look the same anytime you get curriculum in front of you. It will follow this template. I think we'll skip through, Marissa, some things about specifically that are in there. We can, over the next few months that we're together, we can answer some more questions, but I think you probably want to just quickly talk about the revision cycle.
Yeah, because we can come back to task next month when we come through
some of our courses that are up for writing and yes.
How is new curriculum written and revised? A graphic. Andrea.
Yeah. So part of the process, we've kind of talked you through this whole process, but you can see we train the teachers, they write, and we talked about this over and over again of submitting units for feedback through Curriculum Council. Eventually, we make our way through, after this feedback is continually written, resolved, and revisions are made. When we think a course is ready, the three of us will do a final look at that course. Eventually, it is presented to Dr. Carlson and then to Curriculum Council, ultimately to you, and then to the full board. So it may take us, certain courses may take quite a while for us to write, and we try to kind of group a bunch of them together to come when we're ready to come forward to you, to you. Okay. Writing status. As some of you who were on the board previously have seen some of these completed and approved in 23, 24, 24, 25. And the next one is kind of the big one.
What's coming on now?
You could say, what isn't coming? However, we have some courses left in English that are mostly of our electives. We are doing that deep dive into math right now. We had Algebra 1 that has come before you already, but now we're going backwards to the middle school and looking at our 7th grade pre-algebra course, our 8th grade math, our 7th grade math eventually. And then also at the same time moving up and looking at our geometry course, our Algebra 2 course, and some of our dual enrollment courses in math. Social studies, they got their new standards a few years ago, and we are nearing the end of writing for just about every course in social studies in grades 7 through 12. So that has been a huge undertaking. World languages are huge. We have probably the most curriculum approved by the board in that department, but there are still some courses that need to be written. And we're just starting to kind of get into science right now, and in various VPA and CTE courses as they kind of come up as a need to have the curriculum revised in those departments.
And we show you this so you are aware of the work that's going on behind the scenes. And this way, as we bring it forward to you and then hopefully recommend it to the full board, you're kept in the loop throughout the process. And again, we did have 25-26 originally. We changed it to 25-27 because it is taking more time because we do want our teachers to be as involved as possible, and it just takes a lot of time.
You said the social studies standards were changed. How often does that happen?
When do they feel it?
No, sometimes it's like a 10-year.
It's not on the state's.
Yeah,
So
it's right. It really depends.
We were in draft.
So much work.
We were in draft for how long?
Pretty much my whole career, pretty much until they were approved, was in draft. So from that, there wasn't much changes, but from the previous approval was probably 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
A fair amount of time.
a fair amount of time.
Yeah, no.
And I don't think if you looked at their standards go 6, 8, 9, 12, the state standards, but I don't think if you looked at them as a whole, things change too much. Like, I don't think there's anything too brand new taken in or put in or taken out, but where they fall within the bands changed a bit.
Okay, and on the screen, you'll see we developed this, I want to say end of last year, but this is a full curriculum writing cycle and timeline. And this is really instrumental to the work that we do. The reason we developed it is because, as I think we've shown you throughout, is that curriculum isn't something that can be written once and then left untouched for years. High quality curriculum requires consistent and a predictable system for review, revision, and improvement. And this cycle really allows us to be proactive and not reactive. On the next slide, you'll notice this is a quick shot or a quick glance at our middle school. And then we'll show you in a minute, the next slide is our high school. This is kind of our guide. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you'll see year 1 is the program review. So for example, I'm just looking at middle school right now.
Math.
Math, yes, program review.
Year, right.
And then year 2 is the curriculum writing. So this is when the curriculum is formally written or revised. Year 3 is the initial implementation. So the curriculum is introduced into the classrooms, and we begin to collect feedback, and we identify any needed supports or changes that we want to make. That happens over the course of a year. And then year 4 and 5 is that systemic implementation. And that's where it becomes consistent across the classrooms and the schools. And we continue to get feedback and ongoing changes, mostly to what Mrs. Drury was speaking about before in that stage 3, those day-to-day lesson plans or development of performance tasks. And then the next slide is high school. And it's the same thing. And this is really for a couple purposes. One is keeps us on track kind of where we are, because it can be, as you can see, very overwhelming. But also there's tremendous budgetary implications because it costs money to write curriculum. The district has saved a lot of money last year and this year, I think, and going forward, as Ms. Hull said earlier, we're really pulling away from outside consultants as we're growing the capacity internally with in-house, which is wonderful. And even having teachers write our own curriculum as opposed to buying programs really speaks volumes to the work that the district is doing. And then last but not least, supporting implementation. I think that was you, Ms. Hull. I think you spoke to a lot of this.
So a lot of this is just telling us, like, how do we really make all of this happen? This is it. So this is where we make sure our administrators, it's really their job to make sure the written curriculum after it's approved by the board is the taught curriculum, so that they receive training on what the curriculum is themselves, they have access to it and everything. And then in their evaluations and in their observations, they can have questions and have conversations with the staff about these things. We have a lot of professional learning built around this. We have a lot of help from our instructional coach in this manner. We have those ongoing curriculum articulation meetings, whether it's just 7 through 12 or also including BOA in these conversations. We've learned a lot through doing walkthroughs. The administrators and the teachers have all participated in walkthroughs where we get to go watch other teachers teach something, and we collect data on that. Are we seeing the POG represented in the classrooms is one of the big things we're really asking, and what does it look like? We've collected really excellent data out of that, so we kind of know from the portrait of the graduate standpoint what professional learning is needed in that regard.
We're also looking at, through those walkthroughs, like depth of knowledge, how often are students participating in level 3 or level 4 tasks that require the higher level thinking skills.
And the curriculum council is really the goal of all of this, is that their goal is to support the teachers throughout this whole process. So nobody's alone. This one is just in who we've worked with in the past.
Yep.
I'm stepping on your toes.
No,
this is your
that's
slide.
okay. That's all right. We just wanted to make sure that.
So these are the
we
people
gave-
who we wanted to give credit where credit is due. These are the outside consultants who we've worked with. Some of our teachers have worked with, some continue to work with. These are the people who we know we can go to if we are stuck on anything and can ask questions to. We are finding we don't need them as much anymore as we've really worked through this process.
It's in your blood.
Yes,
They've done their job well.
They've done their job well, so we can do it too. And then looking ahead.
Yes, I think this is a
This is-
little bit.
Yes,
This was
so
the
this is
same
the
thing.
repeat side.
Yeah.
Without the math one.
Yeah.
specifically.
This just really represents the active work.
And the
that's
things that are
happening
in bold are the next things we
Yeah, those
anticipate
are
will come
what we
in front of the board.
anticipate before the end of this year
We're
or
hoping.
soon.
We're close,
Will come
right.
to the board.
So you can.
So I'm curious, the 2 possible classes that you mentioned today, and then I also know with the new middle school schedule, you have some new world languages. How long does it take from a decision like that, like a schedule change decision or the board saying yes to, a new class, from that point to having a curriculum prepared?
It's a process. So they're going to begin teaching the class as they are writing the curriculum. They're going to exist at the same time. So I can give you an example for a class that was new this year, which was one of the dual enrollment, if you love it, teach it classes. Was not a class that had ever existed here before. We were able to look at UConn's and use their syllabus as a reference, but the teacher hadn't ever taught it. She wrote the curriculum as she was lesson planning and designing it and doing it simultaneously. And now that class ended for the semester, she can really kind of reflect on what she did, tweak what she did, rework things that worked, stay, things that didn't work, go.
We make sure that there's a scope.
There's a scope and sequence first.
And that's what we'll start with. So for instance, French is one of those courses that's part of the budget for this year. If that is something that gets passed, we will look to develop a scope and sequence for French and begin a preliminary process of writing it, but that teacher would probably be using the scope and sequence and writing as we kind of went through that first year. So any new course always starts with a scope and sequence of what we might be teaching and then working through those units.
And I can't speak in absolutes, but that's the case for most courses, even when they're not new. Teachers are often writing and piloting the new activities, the new performance tasks as they're writing, and then going back and adjusting them themselves in addition to getting the feedback from the curriculum council and others.
Yeah,
So
in
when
real
the
terms,
when the
right now
board
when- Mhm. Yep.
sorry, when the board approves a